What is going on, guys? Welcome to the next episode for Mr. Gray's Talk Room. I'm your host, Christian Gray. I want to talk about something that occurred very rapidly, something that I never encountered prior to this podcast. I actually had a YouTube channel, Gray House Consulting. And in that YouTube channel, I did a whole bunch of resume writing stuff. I talked about mental health. I talked about career consulting. I talked about career development, pretty much everything that you could possibly think of on the career side, right? So it's going to be more of the professional business side. With doing that, I self-published 3 books. First book is Who the Fuck Am I? The second one was a memoir. And the third one was a career development guide as well. Since I dissolved my business last year, I pretty much called it quits. Right now, I have to transfer rights from the book that I wrote to my own personal name. So that's just some of the stuff in the works to be able to get the book back out there because that's the one that was my bread and butter. I really enjoyed creating that book. And if anything, I'll probably end up revamping it anyway. So going back to last year, the year before, so pretty much 2017 all the way to 2021, I ran the Gray House Consulting YouTube channel. And I think the most I ever got was probably about 95 subscribers. Now, bear in mind, when I was doing this, there was no YouTube Shorts, there was no Instagram Reels, there was no TikTok. Like, TikTok didn't happen until like COVID-19 happened in 2021 or 2020. God, I can't even remember which year it was. And the most I got was 95 subscribers. Within just releasing my pilot episode for Mr. Gray's Talk Room, the past couple of weeks, I have 40 subscribers. So I've gotten more subscribers doing Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels and all that stuff, probably releasing maybe about 10. I think that's all I have. And then, of course, the pilot episode on YouTube and Rumble and Spotify and all that stuff. I have a little bit less than half the subscribers as I did my Gray House Consulting YouTube channel. It's very, very weird. But the point that I'm trying to get to regarding Gray House Consulting versus Mr. Gray's Talk Room is, for whatever apparent reason, I just have a whole bunch of haters. And bear in mind, these people have no idea who I am. They're only going off of face value. They're only going off of face value of the YouTube Shorts that I create and my pilot episode. And they are taking what I say out of content and applying to them to their own mindset. And the way I say that is the way they are calibrating and configuring what I say, they're twisting it into a way that pretty much pleases their needs. And I'm laughing because the stuff that they have been sending me, now I know what these influencers or other much more established influencers are dealing with, right? For no apparent reason. I mean, it's just kind of, I find this stuff humorous because I know exactly the type of person that I am. I know exactly all my fuck ups. I've admitted my mistakes. I've lost my job. I've been fired. I've had to resign, right? A whole bunch of stuff that I've dealt with that these people have no clue what I've done. They don't even know that when I created my career consulting business that I released a free online course. I didn't even charge anything for it, right? The only thing that I was charging was really for either the service you want me to provide or the fact that if you wanted to buy my book, it was like $12.99 or $9.99 or $3.99 if you wanted to do the Kindle or Barnes & Nobles and all that stuff. So these people are just going off of face value, thinking that I'm going to share a couple of things that they said. Apparently, to these fuck nuggets, and I'm calling you a fuck nugget. If you're my hater, you're a fuck nugget. I am a fat fuck. Apparently, I'm a fat fuck. Because I talked about in my YouTube short that if I was a fat fuck that was living on my parents' couch, I don't even live with my parents, but that's their assumption. And I play video games all the time, and I'm working at Subway for $10 an hour. I don't even work at Subway. I have an actual career. Like, I work for a Fortune 500 company. And apparently I'm a fat fuck. Apparently I subscribe to OnlyFans, which is kind of funny because I don't subscribe to OnlyFans. I have my own OnlyFans. I'm an internet parrot guru. I don't know how I'm a guru because I'm not selling anything. I'm not telling you to buy my online course. I'm not telling you to, buy X, Y, and Z. If anything, the only thing that you can really buy for me, besides the book that I'm going to release in the near future once I get all the copyright stuff transferred over, is the equipment that I use. So my microphone, my backlight, my mount, my stand. I mean, that's just Amazon Associates. So, and then apparently I'm inauthentic because I wear shades indoors. Well, bitch, these shades are mine. They're custom. They have my own prescription. So the guy who's telling me that I'm inauthentic because I wear shades indoors, they're my fucking glasses. I could do whatever the fuck I want. They're custom and prescription. I could do whatever the hell I want. It's like my own book. I had haters when I first released my book. They said that, oh, you have a typo here, or you. I'm like, bitch, where's your book? You tell me. Oh, and then I forgot this one. I forgot this one because this is going to go into the rest of the episode. I'm a fat fuck. I subscribe to porn. I'm an internet parrot guru. I'm inauthentic because I wear glasses. But apparently, I am a misogynist. I am a misogynist. I had this one chick. I don't even know what the hell her name was. She was bitching, complaining, saying that I was essentially slut-shaming women. And I was stating to women that if you don't value your vanity, if you don't value your chastity, that I'm slut-shaming you because you slept with a whole bunch of guys. Well, I can tell you that's not just my opinion. That is damn near every reasonable, rational person's opinion. I don't want a slut as a wife. I mean, unless I'm in the porn industry. I mean, I am a legitimate porn star. You can find me on Brazzers, or you could find me on Bang Bros or Bang Bus. I can't remember what the fuck it is. Yeah, that would make sense because it's just much more feasible that way. They're polygamous. They're always going to be polygamous. That's their career. But to the average guy who's not a porn star, right, or who doesn't run his own OnlyFans, they're going to want a monogamous woman. I don't know where you're saying I'm a misogynist. And I don't understand. Well, actually, you have a pretty flawed way of thinking if you think that I'm a misogynist because you don't even know me. But all my life, I've was raised from 0 to 18 to the time I came out of my dad's ballsack into my mother's vagina and out that vagina. I've grown up with women. I grew up with my sister, my aunt, my mother, and my grandmother. The only two other boys in the family was literally me and my dad. God rest his soul. With that being said, I grew up with a close family of mine. All of them were girls. And I've seen it all. Pregnancy, hysterectomy, menopause, premenopause, when you get your period. So the fact that I grew up 18 years of my life before I came to DFW, I don't see where I'm a misogynist if I grew up in a household full of women. As a matter of fact, to the slut or whatever sloot or whatever hoe is thinking that I'm a misogynist because I devalue women or anything like that, well, maybe you should look in the mirror. Don't even look at me. Look in the mirror. Like, if you're getting offended what I say, telling you to value your chastity and value your vanity, how is your mistake or your volition to sleep with whoever it is that you want, and now people don't want to touch you because you're like the first slice of toast? You know, you're the first slice of bread. Everybody touches you. Nobody wants you. I mean, like, how is that my fault? That's your fault. You hold yourself accountable. I don't know how I'm seen as a misogynist, where even the fact that I grew up with pretty much all women, the current industry that I'm in, the current industry, the mental health foster care agency industry, with that being said alone, that is a predominantly female-oriented industry. like damn near all the therapists that I work with, they're female. Case managers, female. Directors, female. Corporate officers, female. There's not a lot of men in the industry that I'm in. So how am I a misogynist if the current industry that I'm in is predominantly female? I mean, that would make sense if I was, as if I was working at Subway or Whataburger or whatever the case may be, or even if I was a bricklayer or I laid concrete or I was doing roofing where it was predominantly male, but I'm in a predominantly female-oriented business. So I don't get it where I'm a misogynist. Even my direct supervisor is female, and I have to respect the relationship that we have. Granted, I act as an independent or near independent consultant for what I do because I'm damn good at what I do, but still, she trusts my ability not only to get the job done, but I will take fault or accountability that if I screw something up, that is on me. And because I'm the only person in my own department, that's my fault. And we've already established that. But still, I don't get it how I am a misogynist. Another thing that I wanted to address is no matter what it is that you do, you're going to have haters. So not even talking about me. People are always going to try and find dirt on you. People are always going to try the skeletons you hide in your closet. People are always going to find a way that whatever your freedom of speech is, they're going to try to find a way to turn it for their own mindset, for their own volition, for their own pleasure, for their own agenda. But if I'm going to have haters for what I say anybody, at the same time, I'm still going to have supporters. So it doesn't really bother me that I have these people talking crap about me. And I guarantee, because I'm talking shit about my haters, they're probably going to go back on YouTube and try to find a way to offend me. So I'm actually going to just lay everything that I possibly could say, everything that I possibly think that's wrong with my mind, which it isn't, because I'm a secure man. I'm secure with myself. I know I'm damn good looking. But I'm going to just lay it on the table, because once you take away the bullets that they have in their chamber, it really, they have nothing. They have nothing. There's nothing they can fundamentally do. I mean, yeah, they could probably report me to YouTube, but then if they even report me to YouTube, then I just go on Rumble. If I go on Rumble, then I go on Spotify, I go on Google Podcasts, I go on Facebook, I go on Instagram. There's nothing you can do to physically hurt me. And because I'm a secure man and I'm not some dumb shit in reflection to yourself. So kind of one of the insecurities I used to have, but I don't have them anymore because I actually take care of myself. I actually have a self-care routine. I used to have really bad cystic acne. I remember when I was in college, it was so bad that every time that I actually shaved or even trimmed my beard, I would be bleeding because I had really oily skin and I had just acne everywhere, and I hated it. If you look at one of my college photos, you would see that. So that was one insecurity, but because now I have a good skincare routine, right? All right, checked. There was a time that I was heavier than I should have been. When I was in, and people don't even know this, but I got recruited to play Division II college football fresh out of high school, 2014 going to 2015. From there, I went from 190 pounds to about 245 pounds. Then I found a way to cut while I was in college. When I transferred out from McMurray to Tarleton, I was able to get to about 220, 225. Right now, I sit about 230, but that's granted. This past December, I was 245, so I gained some weight, and then I lost it, obviously, because of the Thanksgiving stuff. And Christmas and New Year's and drinking and food, and I love Mexican food, but I don't eat it up here because I actually watch what I eat. So the heaviest I ever got was about 265 pounds. I believe it was 20 2020, January 2020, I was at my heaviest. I was 265. It was really bad. Almost had cirrhosis of the liver, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, all that stuff. Then I lost all that weight during COVID. I remember it was March 2020. That Friday, me and my buddy, we partied hard that Thursday night, and then that Friday there was a quarantine. So from like March to about June 1st, I was working from home, and then I started working out in my garage. Behind this little door, I was working around my garage, and I lost about 45 pounds. The lowest I got was about 213 from 265, and then, of course, I kind of fluctuate just depending on stuff that I do. But now that I do jiu-jitsu and I compete, fortunately, in the ultra heavyweight division, after a certain weight, you're good to go. So that was one insecurity, but I lost the weight. So now I'm cool. Actually, right now I'm actually getting back. I'm actually doing a weight cut, like an appropriate weight cut where if I was 245 in December, right now I sit about 230. I'm trying to get about 205 to heavyweight because I want to compete not at ultra heavyweight or super heavyweight, but heavyweight. And that's only because in my current division, I end up being a very tiny heavyweight. The guys I go against could be like 6'3", 290 pounds. I want to be able to start dealing with people, not only my height, I'm only 5'9", 5'10", but my weight as well, because it's a lot of weight on you when you're doing jiu-jitsu and judo. So that was one insecurity. Another insecurity I used to have, but then I kind of let it go because it's just kind of funny about it. I have cauliflower ear in my left ear, and then in my right ear, I have a little bit of cauliflower developing. I was a little bit insecure about it because it literally looks like I have an elf ear, like a hobbit ear. At least that's what my grandmother tells me. And now it's a badge of honor. Most people would love to have cauliflower ear. Another thing that I'm insecure about is I have a really big nose, but that's because I had my nose broken once, and so obviously when everything calcifies after you reset the nose and it's broken, it's gonna have that little hump. So that's kind of one of the things that I have. And then another thing, I would say this is the last thing that I'm very insecure about, or not really insecure about because I obviously have a manscaper, is just I am a very hairy Mexican. Like, there is hair all over me, and I feel almost Arabic or Persian or Indian, whatever you want to call it, and it's just I hate it because it gives that sense of BO. But because we have the manscaper, they're not sponsoring this episode, but if you want to get a manscaper, I'll post the link down in the description, and you'll get yourself. If you don't have a manscaper, I guarantee you your girl will take care of the manscaper. So that was another insecurity before the manscaper came out, and that keeps everything short, trim, clean. Sweat doesn't cling onto it, meaning the smell doesn't cling onto it, etc. So now that I've said all the insecurities that I used to have, or insecurities that used to be self-conscious, there is now nothing that these people can hold to me. So all my haters, please tell me anything else that you think. Talk shit to me. It's funny, because if you actually take the time to talk shit to me, that actually proves what you do not have going with your life. So yes, talk more shit. Tell me I'm a bad person, I'm misogynist, I'm fat, whatever the case may be. Granted, I find it very funny they say I'm fat when I actually compete jiu-jitsu and I actually win. So in the open weight division and in my own division. But nobody will fight me, I'll guarantee you that. So now that I talked about my insecurities, talked about how there's a very impossible way for me to be a misogynist, I'm going to talk about more specifically how there is a very difficult way for me to be a misogynist. Granted, it's one of those things that I learned the hard way of what women go through. When I was in college, let's just say you can't control what happens to your woman parts, right? I can't remember specifically what had happened, but essentially my mom was going to go under the knife and she was going to get a surgery done. And that surgery was a hysterectomy. And it was very scary because anytime anybody goes under the knife and they pretty much take away, your baby maker. I think she was on bed rest for 2 to 3 months. And I know my mother's a very strong-willed woman. But the fact that she could have died, right? Granted, given the circumstance, the fact that she could have died while she was under the knife, that says a lot. And we weren't even in like the Dallas DFW area. We were in Stephenville doing this thing. So it was a very, 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 very small hospital. It's literally like just emergency room. And if it's too intense, they're just going to ship you out over here to like JPS. So it wasn't like they had like the best doctor. They just had whatever doctor was there. So going from that, afterwards, I pretty much had to take care of my mother because she was on bed rest. And to the point where I had to wash, I had to clean, I had to cook, I had to help her get into the shower, help her get out of the shower. I think, I can't remember if she had a walker or not, or she had a cane. I know she needed something to help her walk appropriately. But I'll tell you a very funny story, because it's funny to the feminists that are listening to this, which really most of the feminists are misogynist, because apparently they hate men. And believe it or not, there's actually a podcast called Kill All Men Podcast. But apparently I'm the asshole. This one time I was trying to cook for my mother, because obviously my mother used to cook, and I tried to cook eggs, and I guess I messed up these eggs so badly when I tried to feed them to her. She literally got the eggs, threw them in the trash, and she said, "Make it again." And that was the starting point of how I got really good at learning how to cook, was because I had my savage mother, I love her to death, throw away eggs. And I'll tell you what, I can damn cook some hella soft scrambled eggs with Greek yogurt and butter, and yeah. Anyway, so going back to that, I don't know how I could be a misogynist if I did what even most children won't do for their mother, and that's take care of their mother when they're in their most dire time of need. But I'm still a misogynist, apparently. So now that people know that story, I will say that there is a reason how I was able to be able to create the career I currently have. Now, to all my haters listening, to all my supporters, I didn't get to where I was at with free handouts. No, absolutely not. I grew up in a small town in the Rio Grande Valley, and just like most small towns, they're very political. It's a lot about like who knows who, right? Like when people get hired in small towns, and I could say this not just from the town I grew up, not from the town that I grew up, but from the town that I was in college in as well. When I grew up, everybody knew who was in charge of what, right? Like it wasn't what you know, it was who you know. And I hate nepotism. I hate favoritism. I cannot fucking stand it. For the life of me, that is the one thing that bothers me more in any type of career, is favoritism and nepotism. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, I was hired by my mother, but I wasn't hired for my mother to go work in the office, in a nice, cool office. No, I was working cleaning a shed. I was working in the warehouse, cleaning the floor. I was working in the warehouse, moving tin and metal and copper and whatever the hell it was in there. But I also worked with my dad, and I was cleaning yachts at the age of 13 for $20. I'm talking about it's 110 degrees, humid as shit. I'm in South Padre Island. I have these fucking $1 million yachts, and I have to clean them for $20. I mean, when you're 13, that's fine, right? But when you're 18, you're like, damn, that is less than minimum wage. But he taught me hard work. Definitely taught me hard work. So it's that work ethic that my dad taught me, and the work ethic that my mother taught me, that I am now in the position that I am in today. Because I ain't no little bitch, I'll tell you that much. I'll take a resignation, I will take a termination, I will take a disciplinary action, because that's just the way of the world. You're either going to go through your entire life and just be safe, or you're going to take risk and say, like, I truly believe in this, and I would take the risk of getting terminated or getting written up, because that's the way I do it, right? That's the way I believe it. So how this correlates back to the small town. I remember growing up, and bear in mind, this goes to my haters as well. I grew up in a school district where my mother was also an employee, so I couldn't mess around. There was no way for me to mess around. If I messed around, it was hell on earth. But I can say that how things get political, not just in the small town that I was, but in Stephenville as well. Stephenville was political, and it was also racist. I know what it's like because I worked for my mother in both Rio Grande Valley and Stephenville. What it's like to have your boss, or your boss, I guess you could say, know absolutely jack shit about their position. And then, it's pretty much the secretary or the admin assistant that has to be the head all be all, but you didn't get the pay. So it was always that bullshit. Oh, well, you need a degree. Experience doesn't matter anything. The only reason, and I don't advise people to go to college, right? The only reason I went to college to get my degree was so I didn't have to relive the same situation that my mother relived, where you have all the experience, you did all the trainings, you did all this, you did all that, but because you don't have a degree, you can't get that particular position. And I know there are some of you out there that the only reason why you aren't in the better position that you are today is because you don't have a degree, right? Well, I'm going to tell you something that happened in Stephenville. When I grew up, obviously, in the Rio Grande Valley, and, I saw, my mother was pretty much the head all be all. In Stephenville, it was actually really racist. And I didn't understand racism until I came here to North Texas. And I can't remember what the hell this lady, she had some German names. It was something with an H. I'll just call her Miss Hitler, right? Because it was some fucking German name, and I know she was a racist. And I remember this one time I dropped a package off, and they were talking about, hey, with this particular position that's vacant, why don't we put my mother in there, right? And she literally said, and this was a woman with another woman, I will not hire her because she's Hispanic. That was probably some of the most racist shit I've ever heard of my life. And I've heard some pretty racist shit before. But I knew at that point, because of the demographic that we were in, there was no possible way they were going to let a Hispanic in that field, in that industry, be there. And it's a male-dominated industry. There was no fucking way they were going to let us do it because of what our ethnicity was. Now, that doesn't go into Stephenville in itself, and this is not slander, this is not libel, I know this for a fucking fact. When I was a GA, and yes, I was a GA for Tarleton, a grad assistant. When I was a GA, there was a particular, I believe it wasn't, I don't think it was Trevino. But there was this really cool doctor. I'm gonna use a random name. It's something Mexican. I'll say Dr. Garza, right? Really cool dude. I think he did guitar, he did mariachi or something like that. Super Hispanic, super chill. And obviously, when you're I guess you're a visiting professor for Tarleton, right? And I can't remember exactly what he did, but I remember because I was a grad assistant for the Fine Arts Center in Stephenville ISD, because that's the ISD that where the kids go to school, right? And then if you're going to stay at home, you're just going to go to Tarleton, right? Which is a really, really great college. But during that time, they were still developing the multicultural diversity program, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But still, if you're in Stephenville, it's predominantly white, and there are some people there that are fucking racist. I remember they actually created an article, I think it was in Texan News, if I'm not mistaken, which is like our news program for Tarleton State University. And apparently they made Dr. Garza, this guy, resign, or he resigned for the betterment of his family because his daughter was dealing with a lot of racist bullshit at Stephenville ISD. And I'll say this too. I know from personal experience, don't want to name any names, but I know from personal experience, Stephenville is a really fucking racist town. It has its moments, I'll say that. And this is to say that I was also in Abilene as well. And Abilene itself is its own fucking cult. I didn't understand that. I remember I went to an Allsups, and Allsups is kind of like Stripes or Quick Trip or Racetrack or Loves, right? And the first thing that I walk in there, the gas station clerk, right, literally asked me, "Do you speak American?" And I'm like, "I speak English, if that's what you're asking me." He's like, "Okay, I didn't know what type of Mexican you were." I'm like, "What type of Mexican I was?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then he responds, "Yeah, if you're Cuban, Puerto Rican." I'm like, Puerto Rico is a American territory, so they're still Americans. And Cuba is a different country than Mexico. So you just named 3 different entities. Anyway, so racism in of itself, it's really fucked up. Anyway, now that you know where I stand on this and how this all relates to small town politics and haters, is someone's always going to hate you for some bullshit reason, right? You could be the smartest man on earth, but because you don't fit a particular factor, well, why would you want to work for that type of thing anyway? And the reason why this goes back into small town politics, right? Because Stephenville is a small town, is I dealt with all that shit my whole life growing up. Like, I remember I got the shit end of the stick my sophomore year, actually, because it was a teacher-student game. And pretty much some dude calls out to me and I call out to him, right? Literally the game's ended where I'm at the top of the bleachers, and this, I think he was Mongolian, or if he was Thai or Vietnamese, I don't remember. I think his name was Bing San. I don't know. Anybody who's listening to this, tell me what Bing San stands for, what ethnicity it is. And my nickname was Chino growing up. But this guy was literally Asian. Like, I'm not Asian. Like, this guy was literally Asian. And then this dude pushes me, and I Superman punched him and flew down an entire flight of bleachers. And then, it took, like, the principal and a couple of other people to get me off the kid. Kid's eye was swollen shut. And then the last 5 days of my sophomore year, I get sent to alternative placement or alternative education, right? Well, I ain't no bitch. So if you fight me, or if you try to fight me, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I'll risk that too. Everybody, and I was top 10 at the time. I was ranked 9. Somehow, some way, whatever had happened in that district, I ended up being 13th. I graduated top 10%, not top 10. Because of whatever altercation that I got in when I was in 10th grade, that's what had happened. Was like, there somehow, some way, someone decided to do this. And I worked pretty freaking hard in high school. Like, I remember being AP, college class, all this stuff. And somehow, some way, my altercation and the times that I went to ISS, like, that dropped my rank, right? But that's the way it is. Because, and I say this not to disrespect anybody who's in the top 10 or top 10% of my class. If you're listening to this, I'm not throwing shade at you. What I am telling you is that the difference between me and everybody else is I'm going to take the risk. I ain't no bitch. You press me, I'm going to fuck you up. If you press me, I'm going to stand my ground. I don't care if I have to lose a rank or whatever the case may be. That means absolutely nothing when you get into the real world. Because I tell you what, whether you're in Austin in 6th Street, whether you're on West 7th and Fort Worth, whether you're in D. Bellum in Dallas, if someone presses you, you stand up for yourself. You don't back down. And how this all correlates to haters is because the reason why I said that, these people that are hating on me for no reason or trying to find dirt on me for no reason don't even know my life. Like, they don't even know that I got recruited to play Division II football, that I was top 10% of my class, graduated my university with a 3.4. I got hired by my university as a GA to get a grad degree. I didn't finish because I had a bad occupation after that. Pretty much the corporate officers took my mini thesis for a better training development program, and he said, I'm going to take your mini thesis into consideration, but you don't have the opportunity to move anywhere else by now other than the position that you're in today. So pretty much at that point, I realized it doesn't matter whether I have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree or a doctoral degree. It's the person who cuts the check that's going to tell me what to do. Which is why now I don't intend to work for my current corporate job for the rest of my life. Why do you think I'm doing this podcast, right? People don't even know of all the traumas and shit I went through, and that's time for another video. But it's like, these people who talk shit about me, or who are talking shit about my family, or who are trying to throw shade at me and find dirt because of my voice opinion. Well, I'll tell you what, if there's one thing, and I'll tell you, my friends will vouch for me on this. Very few friends, but they know this. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, the Queen of England, I think the bitch died, Queen of England, or if you're my boss, I'm going to tell it to you the way it is, if it's the way it is, right? If I ever tell you to not fuck something up, I will tell you not to fuck something up. With no repercussion, because I'm not scared of the repercussion, because I'm stating my opinion. I'm stating something that I truly believe in, and if I truly believe in something, then it's either my job to influence others to believe in what I believe in, or let it be as it may, and they can do whatever the hell they want, right? I'm not going to get everybody's opinion. So nevertheless, for all my haters that are listening to me, thank you for talking shit. Truly wish you for the best of your life. I don't know if you're still going to be, if you still end up being a fat fuck, eating ramen noodles and Doritos, playing video games on Twitch, using avatars because you can't even show your real face. Or if you're a sleut and, you're trying to seduce me, well, you should try a little bit harder. So yeah, guys, I think that concludes this episode. This episode of the dark, ironic truth behind haters. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm going to be on Rumble as well when I upload to YouTube. Make sure you also check me on TikTok. If you have any questions, please leave comments down below. I'm available on Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, and I believe Apple Podcasts as well. Google, Apple, yeah. All right then, guys. Take care. Tune in. Stay safe.